What's going on? So I wanted to share my past 5 years of being celibate. There just came a point where I really didn't like how dating was going. Like I didn't like hookup culture. I really despised it. And I almost had like this, and I still have it, like this strong paternal instinct to go up to every woman and just like shake them and be like, "What are you doing?" You know, like you're throwing away your value. Every time you sleep with a guy, you're ruining your value. You're not developing yourself. You're hollow inside. You're unattractive. It's going to lead you to misery. And it's causing misery to everybody involved. The quality, and I'm not just speaking for women, I'll speak it for, for men as well. Just, I feel like human beings in general have like decreased, I would say. That doesn't mean that nobody has value, of course. That's not true, but I guess in terms of traditional values, it's just not there. And the men that have value, and when I say value, I've said it in previous videos, you're you have the core values and principles that make you not move as a man. If you know something is right, you don't move from your position. But it's not just not moving, because an imbecile can do that. Is being able to have the competent ability to judge, a high tier ability to make judgments that are objectively more correct than other people. That's what makes a good leader. A leader needs to know things. A leader has to have certain abilities that make him have power, right? Because power can be used for good or for bad, obviously, or anywhere in between. But that needs to be there. For example, a great father needs to have control over the house. And we think that control now is inherently a bad word. And I understand that people use it with that context a lot of the times, but it's neutral. Control. It's like a gun. A gun is a source of power, right? It can take somebody's life. It can defend someone's life. The gun itself is neutral. It's not bad or good inherently. It's how you use it. Same thing with power. If you're good looking, if you're extremely intelligent, if you have networks, you have a lot of networking with highly powerful or highly influential people, there's a million metrics that can give somebody power, right? But if you're a father in a household, you have to have that control over your wife. And obviously it has to be consensual, and the wife needs to trust the man, and the man has to be objectively right and correct most of the time. If not, he wouldn't be a good leader. But nowadays, if you're a man of value, it's almost like we have no options anymore. You look around and the quality of women is just not there. And listen, I'm not here to blame anybody. But there is a level of accountability that each individual has to, you know, take over their own life. And that's just not there. Accountability has gone out the window. Everybody has been trained to not hold other people accountable, men and women. But women have really taken a hit. We're seeing what happens when somebody has no discipline and their bad behavior is rewarded. You get this. This clusterfuck of whatever this is. You know, and on my channel, I try to be as raw with the truth as I can be. And sometimes it's negative. And I try really hard not to be black-pilled, because I'm not. Because I don't think there's a reason to be hopeless. There's always things you can do. But the point is that these things are true. Okay? The accountability is not there. And it's just, you see it. The youth was not brought up correctly. And now you have a bad batch. Every demographic, every generation has its good and bad eggs. Okay, so I'm not blaming any particular generation, but if you're a man that's looking to date, and like I said, you have high value in the dating world, just means you're highly desirable. You have certain metrics that are high, right? Some people maybe looks and money. It could be you're very socially adept, right? People just listen to you. You come into a room and you command the room. However your value manifests, the fact remains that that's what makes up a valuable person. They have a lot of valuable assets. And yeah, so I say that because I saw this when I was younger, and I had a rage in me. I was not happy. And we all have to go through things. We all learn from our mistakes and everything. But I just went on 5 years just rejecting everybody. I've had women throw themselves at me. I had a friend, my best friend, he's my only friend. I won't hang out with people unless I trust you completely and we're on a certain frequency. But it's funny how we met. We met through a group, and his girlfriend at the time fancied me, right? And in my head, I had to pick, because I just met this guy, and we had something in common that was very rare. We both were really into Jungian analytical psychology. And the odds of running into somebody with that kind of interest is like 1 in a gazillion. So in my head, I have to pick. And I picked him because she was very beautiful, but she was 33, a bit older. I made excuses because I didn't want to ruin our friendship. But I also had, I would say looking back, I had unrealistic expectations. I just rejected everybody. I had chances. Looking back, I ran across, because I would literally go to malls, wherever, to, potentially meet women. And I swear to you, for a couple years straight, I would go to places and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would have people come up to me and try to interact with me, women, and I would just reject them. And I didn't know why I was doing it. And it was really irritating. Like, why am I doing this? And with further introspection and analyzing, I was basically mimicking what women do. Like women, like modern day women, they they won't make eye contact with like most men if they're really pretty because they don't want to signal attraction, which signals that, you know, they are of high status, at least in the dating realm. And I would mimic that. And the fact remains that it would work. You know, acting kind of smug, at least from afar, not knowing you, intrigued women and they would want to talk to me. But I didn't know how to turn that off. And yeah, I was just, my brain was messed up because of dating. It was like all the women around me were just rejecting all the men, and they had no substance. And I didn't even see women interact with men. It was just women rejecting men, women acting smug, women acting arrogant. And I just saw women like in their fantasy, like it's winning to them. They just reject men and they win. And subconsciously, unconsciously, trying to survive within my ego, I had to do the same. Like almost not just for me, but for all my fellow man comrades. You know, we're all just in a game that is like rigged. And I was almost getting back at for all the men that were wrongly rejected. So I just rejected everybody. And looking back at it, it's like cringe to me. Because I missed out on some really good opportunities. Which I don't... It's fine. I had to go through that, you know. And luckily I still have years, you know, for, you know, dating age. But I'm not taking time for granted anymore. First opportunity I see, I'm taking it. I've changed my mind, how it works, and I'm not just rejecting women automatically. But the point is that it was a defense mechanism. You know, just like dating apps, it just all like just fucked my head. And yeah, like I got like, I saw how much of a power trip women got from rejecting men. I subconsciously wanted to do that to them, and I did. I did that for years. I was alone, but I was satisfied. I was like, at least I'm not going to get hurt, you know? And, but in the end, it was destructive. It wasn't doing anybody any good. The fact was, I was remaining single, and that wasn't the main objective. But I didn't know what else to do. It was like from my perspective, nobody is behaving correctly. It's like there's a preschool and the teachers left the building and all the children is just running loose. That's how I saw society. Just everybody doesn't know what they're doing. They're just completely incompetent and just ruining this whole ecosystem. Like, we're supposed to have children. Like, what's going on? We're supposed to, like, make dinner and go out with friends, like close friends, and have children. But that wasn't happening. It was just this like clusterfuck of weird, like a perverted perversion of what was supposed to be. Yeah. I mean, because before this 5 years, I've had my experience with women, especially when I was a bartender. I was, especially one gig I was at. I was at a hotel. I worked for a hotel near an airport, and I would meet a lot of really good-looking flight attendants. I'd meet women from all around the world. So, I had my fun. But it quickly just got old for me, and wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for a wife. And everywhere I went, there was no women that were wife material. Sure, I could hook up with the chick, but that's not what I wanted. And it was driving me insane that I wasn't able to easily achieve this, and other people, other men, weren't able to either. And it made me very angry. And I think that's what led to my behavior. I would literally spend, like every weekend, I'd spend a couple hours, maybe Saturday and Sunday, literally going out in public, peacocking, looking for a woman. And I'd have women, just like gawking, just like staring at me, and I would just walk right by them. Or I'd go up to a chick, not talk to her, just kind of, stand close to her, say we're at a food court at the mall, so I have an excuse. And this one time, this chick, she was all giggly and was like staring at me, trying to get my attention. I just completely blew her off. And she was super gorgeous and young, If I had to guess, like probably 20. And, but I had to go through that. Like there's things I had to digest, and I wasn't done processing that. But fast forward through all those years, something clicked. Because I would say I'm a controlling person. And when someone hears that, it sounds negative. And I can understand that. But control itself is neutral, right? Like a commander in the military has control over his men. If you're a manager at your job, you have to control your employees. Control is a necessity for order and for function. You can abuse that power, or you can use it for good. But I found myself, I have a high aptitude for being able to utilize control. I'm very good at controlling a room. And I felt I had the responsibility. It's like great power. Demands great responsibility, or however that saying goes. That's how I felt. Like when I was in a group, most of the time, I know this is going to sound arrogant, but I feel like it's true, I was the only adult. The only person acting like an adult. So I would always have to be in control and make sure people are behaving. And because it's so easy to do one or the other. It's easy to be completely a control freak. And it's also easy to be a complete pushover and have no control. The sweet spot is being able to balance when to have control and when not to, right? But the point is that I learned to let go. Let go. If somebody wants to behave a certain way, let them. It's fine. In other things, I don't think I can reverse engineer into logic. Like it's an emotional truth that I've processed that I'm not able to convert just yet into logic, but there are certain things that I was able to, to understand. And I also, in those couple of years of me going out, it wasn't just a waste. I learned pickup without actually interacting with women, because I had plenty of interaction with women before this 5 years, right? I've dated lots of women when I was younger. I was like a party guy. I was the center of attention. I was that guy at parties. I was always kind of controlling the party and in friend groups, and you know, made sure we're having a good time. But yeah, I was able to just let go of certain things and accept the truth for what it is. How women are right now, just accept it. But in those 2 years, I learned what women respond to immediately. So I got really, really good at creating attraction immediately, right? As long as a woman finds you physically attractive to a certain extent, if you do certain things like your body language, you come in with a level of confidence, you make eye contact instantly, but you know exactly when to take away the eye contact and when to bring it back. If you have that down pat, I find that I get IOIs, we call them, indicators of interest, quite frequently. So I got really, really good at getting women to give me indicators of interest. So it wasn't a waste. Basically, all those years, I was gaining a skill. But, yeah, so where I found myself at now is I've had resolve. I came to an understanding, and it's allowed me to actually interact with women that I don't know now. Before, no, I couldn't say a single word because of my mindset. And it's hard to describe, but, I've already explained it, to the best of my ability. But now that I've sorted certain things out in my head, now I'm able to put into action what I've learned all those years, in pickup. So now, just in the past couple of weeks, it's crazy. I've talked to probably, I don't know, at least 7 or 8 women. And 6 out of those 8 gave me an indicator of interest. So if you're a guy listening to this, or a woman, the highest success rate you're going to have with cold approaching is you need to get an indicator of interest first. You have to basically get them to cue that they're interested. So if they look at you multiple times, and it's not obvious. Girls think it's obvious, but it's not. But they'll do stuff like, if you're at the mall, they'll look at you for like an extended period of time, or they'll play with their hair. They'll do something along those lines, and then they'll do something like, rather than just go up to you like a normal human would in your mind. No. They got to do all these all these games. But I get it. So they go into a store, for example. So I've had this a couple of times where they'll go into a store and they'll look at me. So they want me to go into the store. And this just happened to me the other day. So I go into a clothing store. I go into the men's section. They're in the women's section, and I just look at them. I don't look. I'm not trying to make eye contact. I already did that, and there's 2 of them. And I just look in their general, vicinity, like while I'm peacocking, and basically cueing to them, come over to me. So I look. So as soon as I feel like they see me, I go right back to what I'm doing, and they're halfway across the store. On cue, like I predicted, they came over, and that's when I said, hey girls. But at this point, again, I don't have a lot of experience after the initial micro cues and lining everything up. I have that down really well. It's just talking in the initial stage. I have very little experience with strangers. With people I know, I have no issues. Like if I see a woman day-to-day basis, I have it in the bag. No issues. But I'm not really part of any groups, or I haven't been. I've actually recently joined a church for the primary purpose, to meet people. But anyways, to finish the story, so they come up to me and I say hi, but they're like walking around me as I say hi, and they say hi back. So I go back to look at the piece of clothing I have in my hands, thinking that when they wrap around, we'll re-engage the conversation. Well, that didn't happen, and they continued to walk around in the men's section. Obviously, they went into the men's section to talk to me. So that's good data. It's like, okay, what did I do wrong? Was it that was unrealistic? Like, they should have talked to me? It's like, no, that's not the way to think. You have control over yourself. You have to take full accountability. Because I didn't get to this point without doing this. You don't get to a high level of competency if you don't become super critical of yourself and point out immediately, okay, I did that wrong, how do I fix it? So I did something wrong. And I think next time, if those series of things happen, and it doesn't have to happen identically, but it's like, okay, she signaled she's interested, I signaled back, we do a couple things to confirm, yes, we're both interested, okay, now it's safe, now engage. I think at that point, I should have, introduced myself and engaged the conversation then. That's what I should have done. But you have to go through these failures to see what works, for you. So that was a good learning moment. I'm going to take that new information, into my further encounters. But, but before I finish up the video, I wanted to kind of document my journey to finding a woman through this process. And I think it's something that I'd like to record for myself, but I think it could help others, because men are just in a tight place right now. Dating apps are trash. Men are afraid to approach women. Environments are weird now, like workplaces. Like, it's almost impossible if you're not a teenager or in school. It's hard to actually be around women without having all this weird, artificial pressure that makes things just awkward. So I think more men need to do this, and I think you'll start seeing it. Like, men are getting to that point where we're getting kind of fed up. So a lot of men of value are stopping even messing with, the chicks that are just good for a one-time use, if you know what I'm saying. Even though I don't do that. At least I don't do that anymore. For the past 5 years, I've been celibate. I just don't get any enjoyment, any satisfaction, any meaning out of it anymore. So I'm not saying if you're hooking up, you're a piece of crap. No. It's a place, if you're a woman, you can do whatever you want, but the more men you go through, the lower your value goes. It's just a fact. Absorb it or not. It's up to you. But yeah, I wanted to document, this process. And like I said, I've joined a church. Maybe I'll meet a woman through that method. But I'm also going to continue doing these. It's kind of cold approaching, right? I mean, it is cold approaching, but it's with the element in mind that I'm getting them to cue to me. And I'm almost in unknown territories. I mean, who knows? I haven't listened to every pickup artist, so maybe there's certain people that have done this, but I've listened to a good amount of them, and they don't talk about this. So I'm kind of almost pioneering certain nuances in the pickup world. And again, I'm just using pickup as a tool to meet my wife. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's kind of a long video, but I feel like I needed to make this. You know, like the video, helps out the algorithm. Drop a comment, whatever you want, and subscribe for more content. I'll talk to you guys later.